Good morning! In today's video, I'm building a Dolly bucket system for our Hyperadobe earth bag chicken coop tower build. Hey, welcome back everybody. If you're new to our channel, we are Douglas and Keri. We're two rebels off grid. At least our dogs are the rebels. We sold everything, sold our house, left the big city of Denver, Colorado, and we moved out here to Cochise County, Arizona. In September of 2022, we started our homestead. We're building it literally from the ground up. So we started with raw land and we've been developing it, and we'd love you to follow along on our journey. All right, so today I'm going to be turning this dolly and this bucket into a tool that we can use to help lay our Hyperadobe continuous earth bags for our first build, which is going to be our Hyperadobe chicken coop tower that we're going to start with. We're doing that first because we want to practice before we start building our house and kind of get all the techniques down and get that all worked out before we start with something that we're going to be actually living in. So anyhow, I'm going to get going on this. I bought this dolly from Tractor Supply, obviously the bucket's from Harbor Freight, and I've got some 2x4s and some other pieces of wood that I'm going to use. And I'm going to try to rig this into a tool that we can use. They don't have anything like that for sale. So you buy these dollies, and we've seen people alter them so that they work for what we need them for. So the bags are going to be skinnier when they're laid out. They're skinnier than these wheels. So what I need to start with is taking the wheels off and moving them to the inside of the axle, or to the inside of the dolly. So I think we got the right kind of dolly for this. It seems like they're pretty easy to get off. So we're going to take these and move them to the inside. So there'll be a wheel here and a wheel here. And then I'm going to need to cut some pieces of PVC piping to kind of hold them in place so they don't slide back and forth in there as we're rolling it along, because there'll be some weight on this with the dirt. So I'm going to start off by taking those little cotter pins out and seeing what I can do with these wheels. All right, so that was super easy, and this should work just fine. So I went ahead and got the wheels off. I got all the parts saved in my pocket. It's just a couple of washers and a cotter pin. So this is going to work perfect, and there's plenty of clearance between the frame of the dolly and the wheel to be able to spin freely. So what I need to do though, I don't want to put the parts back on yet. I'm going to cut some PVC pieces. I'm going to have one that's going to fit right here, another one that's going to fit right here, another one right here, another one over here, and another one right here. So I'm cutting 5 PVC pieces. I'm going to just kind of move this around a little bit and get it to where I think it's in the ideal position, and that the wheels are far enough apart that the dolly's not going to tip over, and make sure that I can get those PVC pieces cut to the right spot. All right, so that worked okay. The dolly rolls fine. And I like the way the middle pieces and the 2 end pieces that are on the outside of the tire should be okay. I cut them a little smaller. It's a little bit of a science to it, but not much. So I don't like the way the end pieces are looking though, so I'm going to actually cut those down. Or I mean, not cut them down. I'm going to make them a little bit wider and try it that way. I actually wish I had smaller PVC, because a smaller diameter because it's kind of big and it kind of flops around. But next time we go into town, I'll get a smaller piece and see if I can dial it in. But for now, this will work. All right, now that I've got the wheels on, I need to figure out a way to take that bucket right there, and I want to mount it on the very top bar, which is this bar right here. So I have an idea. I think what I'm going to do is drill some holes in the bucket, and then some pretty big holes, and I'll show you. But I want to take this piece of wood and mount it onto the bucket like that. Okay, and then I want to use these little, I don't know what these are called. They are called open bar holders. So usually you would buy these to like keep a gate closed. You would attach them on, and then a 2x4 slides in and holds the gate closed. But I'm going to use them a different way. I'm going to turn them over and mount them onto the piece of wood like this. So my thought is, you have to picture the wood is mounted onto the bucket. My thought is I've got two of these, and that they can essentially hang over that like that. And then you'll have the bucket right here. So I'm not sure if that's going to work. I'm going to try it. The thing I'm really kind of concerned about is I'm going to drill into the bucket because I want to put these really hefty bolts through there. I'm going to put this on the inside of the bucket so that it's nice and flush and that it doesn't get dirt hung up on it or anything. And then out through the bucket and out through the wood. And then I've got nuts to screw it down on. So I'm going to try that. We'll see if the bucket can handle that. If it starts showing any signs of cracking as I'm drilling through it, because I'm going to pre-drill for these, obviously, I probably will just switch out to a smaller bit and just work my way up to the bigger bit. I'll show you how big of a bit. I've got this. All right, so I'm going to try that and see how it works. And I actually bought a couple buckets. I have 3, so if I mess them up, I've got a backup. All right, so I'm going to get going. Okay, so that's on, and it actually was easier than I thought it was going to be. I was afraid the bucket was going to crack. So I'm going to go ahead and mount these on pretty close to where those bolts are. I'm just going to screw them in with some wood screws. Alright, got that attached. It was actually pretty easy. I used 1 3/4 inch wood screws so that they wouldn't poke through the back. And let's see how it hangs on the dolly. Taking it over here to the dolly. And it's going to hang right over that. Okay, so I like that. That works good. So the only thing, the only thing with this is we don't want the bucket hanging that way. We want the bucket hanging that way. We want it to kind of be angled that way. So I'm trying to think of how I can do that. I'm going to have to figure out something. I might have to maybe attach some wood to the dolly to kind of hold it out. I got to give it some thought. All right, so I got this attached. Let me show you up close. I had bought these brackets at Ace Hardware. I don't know what they're called. I just grabbed them thinking they might come in handy. So I'm guessing this is the Ace Hardware part number 51611 on the back. You can see right here. So they're U-shaped, and I just drilled them through the 2x4s, and then I had to pound them in with a hammer. I'm missing a bunch of drill bits for some reason, so I had to use one that was probably a little too small. But anyway, what I'm doing here, sorry, is I'm building up kind of a, I'm building this out so that it holds the bucket out once I get the other bucket connected. I think that's about the right angle. I might actually put one more block on here, but I want to attach the other bucket to that first and see how it looks and how it comes down, because I want the end of the bucket to come out. I want this end of the bucket to come out further than the lip on the dolly, because I want the bags to kind of smoothly flow from there. So I'm going to do something with these pieces of wood too. So I'm just going to continue kind of like rigging this together. Hopefully it turns out okay. All right, so I was going to try to drill through the metal and just mount this 2x4 right here onto the bottom, but I don't have the right kind of drill bits. I actually broke one trying to drill through it. So I just decided to take a couple of 1x6s, or one, I may think those are 1x5 or 1x6, and I just sandwiched the bottom of the dolly between those two boards. I don't know if that's going to hold up, but we're going to try it and see how it works. So it's something to attach to, and that's what I needed. So here it is done. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It seems pretty solid. I just wanted to mention the reason I made this detachable with the brackets on the back is I know there's going to be times when we're filling earth bags that we don't want it to be on the dolly and that we're going to have to like maybe go around corners or do something by hand. So that's why I wanted to be able to take that bucket off of the dolly sometimes. So we've got the IBC tote loaded on the trailer, and we're going to fill it with as much water as it can hold. That's the water that we're going to need to do our earth bags. And there's the sifter that I built, and the bag dolly, I guess that's what we'll call it, the bag dolly. And we're going to take this up to the build site for the chicken coop, and we're about to get going.